It's great to see your faces. And let us start remembering that we are indeed Spirit-led and Spirit-fed. Let us pray. I invite you to allow my words to be your words if that feels right. Let us be here now in this sacred now moment, knowing that we are expressions of the divine. The divine feminine is within me, whether I am female or male. The divine masculine is within me, whether I am male or female. I most likely have wounded feminine aspects within me, as well as wounded masculine aspects within. When I see myself being controlling, aggressive, emotionally unavailable, overworking, avoidant, defensive, reactive, or critical, I bring my wounded masculine aspects to God. I bring them to the God that dwells within my heart, and I bring them there for healing and purification. All that is wounded goes to my heart, to God, to heal. I see myself protected, grounded, courageous, supportive, disciplined, present, generous, logical, stable, and strong. All aspects of the divine masculine within me. Let us take a moment to integrate that. When I see myself feeling insecure, manipulative, guilty, shame, a victim, unworthy, trapped, codependent, aspects of my wounded feminine. I turn that over to God within my heart for healing and purification. I see myself being intuitive, expressive, creative, loving, empathetic, nurturing, magnetic, strong, and flowing with life. These qualities of the divine masculine and feminine dance within me, and they express within my soul in joyous ways. They express through my relationships, through my work, and through my life. And so it is. Amen. And now let us sing the Lord's Prayer. And so it is. I invite you to join us for food today after our service. There is a book that anyone can sign up to bring things in the coming weeks, or bring things at any time. Just FYI. Our Unity Meditation and Prayer is on Wednesdays, usually 4:30 to 5:30 on Zoom, and you can take a picture of that link and join us. Compassionate Pomona is, Pomona Air Quality Monitoring there's a workshop coming up on May 12th for that. Take a picture if you want it, or ask me. Here on May 13th, which is this coming Wednesday, we are having a prayer and sharing in prayer circle on gender identification and acceptance. So I invite you to join this. Those circles are powerful. I invite you to come and join us on that. Tri-City is having an award ceremony at the same time, basically, on Wednesday from 5 to 7. And these are films, short films, that Tri-City youth have created to celebrate excellence in mental health. It should be awesome. And it's going to be down at, what do you call it? Where the swap meet is, down at the PUSD building. They have theaters down there, and they've remodeled these theaters, so that should be exciting to see. On Thursday, we have our book study, and it is from 7 till 8 on Zoom again, and we're studying Let There Be Lights, how the stories of the Old Testament and the stories in the Bible, how they live within us. This is not about something old, that happened long ago, but something that plays out over and over within our lives and within ourselves. And then on Sunday, next Sunday, May 17th, from 6 to 8, is Seeds of Hope, is an interfaith talk between 3 friends of our church, Sohaila Azizi, Dr. Ahmed Sobo, and Cantor Paul Bush, as they talk about building peace across deep divides in the Middle East. And anyone can come and join them for that. Integrate on Sunday, next Sunday also, is a mindfulness participation or practice that I will be leading, helping us be here now, not being in the past, not being in the future, but just, it is used a lot by Tri-City Mental Health, for example, teaching people to be in the present, because the present really is the only time and place that we can change or do or even exist in. The rest is in our mind. Compassionate Pomona is now, the next one is May 21st from 10 till noon on Zoom. And the new Larkin Place here in Claremont is asking for food and cleaning supplies and dog food. So if anyone wants to bring it, the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living here has a box back there that we can add to those collections. And we're supposed to bring them this next Saturday, the 16th. We are also collecting for Ruth for her UCC church to give residents who can no longer work due to threat of ICE food, and we're still supporting the community schools in Pomona. So let us know that our blessings are many. Let us say the affirmation that is listed, that is on the screen together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all I am, all I give, all I do, and all that I receive. And now Liz, our wonderful usher, is going to pass the basket so people will have a chance to give to this place that spiritually feeds them. And Jackie is coming up today to share her favorite book, The Daily Word. As she does that, I invite you to look at those pictures, because that is my family. We're blessing mothers, and that is my grandma. I think she's holding me, and she lived with us, my Nana at the top. And then my dad's mother is at the bottom, and then I am in the middle, and then my mother, long after I was out of the house, not long after, shortly after I was out of the house, ran for state legislature, and that is her in her office. So
you're a cute little girl there with
I
curls
was
and
a
everything.
cute little girl. My mama had to curl those short, straight hair.
Yeah, they did that, didn't they?
They did it. They wanted us to look like Shirley Temple.
I know they did. My parents gave me a Nestle's baby treatment to make my hair curly, but it didn't work. Good morning.
Good morning.
The word for today are blessing for mothers. I bless and give thanks for the mothers in my life. Together. I bless and give thanks for the mothers in my life. Today I celebrate and honor the world's mothers. First, of course, is the mother who nurtured and guided me to be the person I am through her love and example. I also bless those who have shown me a mother's love throughout my life. These special ones may be grandmothers, aunts, or other family members. Perhaps a neighbor or teacher took me under their wing, offering me support and encouragement. I have deep appreciation for them all. On Mother's Day, I bless the mothers and mother figures in my life with thoughts of gratitude and love. I hold these dear ones gently in prayer, affirming they know the tender, nurturing love of God as they have so selflessly shared it with me. And from Proverbs 3:17, her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace.
Thank you, Jackie.
My pleasure.
So the song we're singing now, we haven't sung for years, I don't think. Julie, do you remember it?
No. Well, I do remember this.
You
And I
made the
do know that
first.
Michael Stillwater, who composed it, recently passed away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So, this is I Am One with the Heart of the Mother. Thank you. It brings back lots of memories, Julie. So, the sacred dance. You know, at Easter, my favorite song is about the dance,
The Lord of the Dance.
Lord of the dance, and about how Jesus was able to dance through it all. And we are all involved in the dance, aren't we? The dance of life. And there are many aspects to that dance, and one of them is the dance of the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine and the feminine, or the wounded masculine and feminine. And we probably all have all of that within us, and so how do we lift it up? So that is a part of what we're talking about today, but a little humor to start off with. So the little boy is bringing breakfast in bed to his mother, and he says, "There would have been much more, but the dog ate half of it before I could get it to you." So you may think about your attempts to gift your mother in the past, or your attempts, or your children's attempts to gift you, and how that doesn't always work out quite the way we want. There is a quote. My mom says, "Raising me took patience, strength, and coffee." Mostly coffee. Actually, almost entirely coffee. So some of us may remember the coffee. Then another cartoon shows a normal day and Mother's Day. And they're all the same, except for a Happy Mother's Day by one child, and you're awesome, hun, we love you, but all the rest of the words are exactly the same. Give me, do me, help me, etc., etc., etc. And so, and then another quote I found, I told Mom she deserves a spa day for Mother's Day, and she said, honestly, I'd settle for not having to ask anyone to do something 3 times.
Oh.
Yes, and maybe we can relate to that. And then finally, another cartoon. Mom, we've hired a few people to fill in for you while you relax on Mother's Day.
Oh.
And there's a whole ton of people there doing mother's work. And my computer, if you see the F's missing, my F key no longer works. So I have to copy and paste it. Sometimes I forget. So let us just take a moment to reflect on how we treated our mothers. I think the cartoons may show something. I was pretty unconscious as a child and probably did not show, although I always showed respect, I did not always show gratitude for the blessings that my mom brought me. I was fairly unconscious rather than grateful. It is time for both men and women to awaken, because we have the power of the divine masculine, which is an action verb, and the power of the divine feminine, which is an intuition and knowingness word. And we all have that within ourselves. And so as we do our work, our spiritual work, we can develop both of those actions within ourselves. We have lived basically in a patriarchy for, anybody want to guess what the internet says, how many thousand years? 3,000. I thought 2,500, but
Yeah.
it is 3,000 is what they say, that the patriarchy really has come in. And so there, and in doing so, and they say that it was really the agricultural revolution way back then when people began farming, and then owning land for farming became important, and then so having the power over the land became important. And so the divine feminine that was probably much more spread out was got smaller and smaller and smaller, but it continued in a number of places. And I found this map of places where it is or has been, and some of those places where matriarchal cultures live or have lived, the Minoan civilization on Crete, and that was 3,000 to 1,100 years ago, BCE, so that was a long time ago. The Indus Valley, about that time in India and Pakistan. In the United States, the Iroquois Confederacy, so that's much more modern, in North America, women had the power to select and remove male leaders in the tribe. Property inheritance was transferred through feminine lines, and they had real social and economic control. So that's right here. I know there are Canadian tribes in the West Northwest that also were very matriarchal in nature. There's a great story I may tell you again sometime that I have shared here before. There are certain queens in ancient Egypt, like Cleopatra, had immense power, and the goddess Isis was also central to their religion, but they were matriarchal and patriarchal both. Several tribal communities in India had matriarchal societies, and many Indian goddesses, many of you know Kali, known as a terrifying goddess. Sometimes I become that Kali when I get really mad. So, you know, the divine feminine has many faces. In China, there's a people called the Mosugo people, and they have a kingdom of women. Women head the households and men live separately from them. So there's many ways to do this. It's called a walking marriage system where children stay with the mom. And in Africa, in Ghana, the Akan women hold leadership in the family and in the community, as well as the inheritance line. The largest matriarchal society, anybody know where it might be in the world? It's in Indonesia. And even though Islam has come in, the society has maintained its traditional matriarchal customs, which makes sense because in the Quran, there is an equality between men and women. Some of you, most culturally, most countries where Islam is, that is not true. But the Quran was one of the first to really teach equality of women and to lift women up. So over the ages, there has been this dance between the masculine and the feminine energies for power. What they do with the power is different. Robert Brummett, Unity minister and author, writes, "Surrendered, we live with a deep trust in the inherent wisdom and goodness of life. We trust even those forces that seem to shake our foundation, and we begin to see our life as a part of a great cosmic dance, the dance of life, evolving and unfolding around and within us." Do you ever feel like your life is a dance? Yeah, and those of you who are dancers, I know, Drac, you're a dancer. Does that help get that? I feel like I need to dance, and I do go dancing sometimes, but you know, the dance, it's the in and the out. You lead, I lead. You know, there's a shift and a change and a dependency and a following and a leading and a flow, right? And a joy in that dancing. So, as I said, the agricultural revolution around 3000 BC diminished many of the patriarchal societies by promoting land ownership and inheritance through the male, as well as promoting masculine power within communities. The patriarchy grew to fear feminine power, calling women with knowledge and skill, and this is even later, you know, even after America was born, witches, and putting them to death. I have a relative, and if any of you have studied the Salem witch trials, one of my relatives was Rebecca Nurse, and she and a number of her relatives were all tried as witches. And as I was reading online today, it was more about land, power over land and disputes with neighbors. And so they just decided, well, we'll just call her a witch. And we'll say that she came into my room when I was sleeping and she did all these fantastical things. And then she was killed. So, yeah, so the feminine has been maligned easily and is again often taken down. But so by making all that is feminine evil or unlucky, do you know where the number 13, why it's seen as unlucky?
Is that a covenant?
It is, 13 is the number of menses that a woman has in a year. It was seen as one of the holiest numbers. But to take power from women, the spin, you know how you can spin things any number of ways. So it was, the spin was that it's very unlucky. And so it took away the power of the holiest number. Interesting, huh? Yeah. And of course, menses has to do with birth and childbirth. And that's one of the reasons that women were seen as all-powerful, because they were the ones that could give birth. Men could not. And so that's why in many cultures it started out as matriarchal back in the early days, ancient days. Jewish Renewal founder Rabbi Zalman Shalom Shalomi writes in his book, The First Step, God has many roles in our life. He is Father. She is Mother. The Lord is an all-encompassing being for which we don't even have a good word name. So even God, so many of us grew up with masculine pronouns for God, but is God a man? I don't think so. So, you know, if we just try shifting she for he when you're talking about God, and you will find some amazing things happen within you that begin to shift you into a higher consciousness. How can we see and understand the divine influence in respect to, that we have in respect to men and women? Patriarchs. Do you know the name El Shaddai? What does it mean? It's a name for God that the patriarchs used. You know how the ancient Jews, they used to go up the mountain to get closer to God, and the mountain became a symbol for God. The mountain looks like what part of the female anatomy? The breast, right? And so this aspect of God, El Shaddai, was seen as that aspect of God that provided for the patriarchs, provided for the people, blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply rather than to die, you know. And so, and bless their descendants. And so that was El Shaddai could also be translated as the breasted one. Because where do we get nourishment? From the breast, newborns, right? And so this was the aspect of God that took care of her people. In unity, we refer to God as both Mother and Father. I say Mother, Father, God. I think, Jackie, you say Father, Mother, God. But we include both because the qualities of both, for God to be everything, and we know of God as everything, you have to have masculine and feminine aspects, right? And within each of us are all those aspects, because we are created in the image and likeness of God. Masculine and feminine, male and female. That's right out of Genesis. And so that those aspects are within each of us. Even though our culture tries to make us one or the other, put us in boxes, we all have this fluidity of characteristics, and we need them in order to be whole beings, to not be completely dependent on another person. During the Renaissance and about the 16th century in Europe, women began to write about their accomplishments and saying that they were equal to men. This was like heresy back then, if you can imagine, because the patriarchy was so strong. And then in the Enlightenment, about 150 years later, women in Europe began to focus on the inequity of genders and ask for equality. At the same time, abolition was going on in Europe and in America, and a number of those people involved in those movements came together. In America, have you ever heard of Lucretia Mott? I did not know her, but she was a Quaker preacher and social activist, and she joined with many, including Elizabeth Cady Stanton, you've probably heard that name, at a convention in Seneca Falls, New York, where they proclaimed all men and women are created equal. Imagine that, the heresy of that. And so, because even though, you know, our Constitution was talking about those things, or the Articles of Incorporation, or whatever we started with, women were not treated equal and were not given rights, equal rights. So at this conference, Frederick Douglass, who was a great orator and a former slave, he argued in their behalf. They wanted, what did they want? What did these women want? They wanted power. They wanted power of the pulpit. They wanted power to do trading, to do business. They wanted to have professions, the same professions that men had. Those kinds of things were what they were talking about, and yet not all of them were on the same page. Those were the ones that had wealth. The ones that didn't have wealth, like Sojourner Truth, she was not interested in that. She was interested in abolition. She was interested in land distribution. And she spoke up for that in her Ain't I a Woman speech. So the Civil War then came and stopped a lot of the work that feminists were doing at the time. And as soon as the war was over, Susan B. Anthony, who was a temperance activist, formed the National Suffrage Association in 1869. There were many things that divided the movement, including immigrants and differences in education. So at that time, there were lots of immigrants who actually, a lot of the suffragettes did not want to give them the vote or them the power, but just like the males wanted power for the white wealthy males, the women wanted power for the white wealthy women. But the vote was not. So it took a while for them to all come together, and finally, in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution passed in 1920. That's a long time. That is a long time we waited for that. Since then, new waves of femininity and masculinity have been developing, and I think that it is a call for us. It's Spirit calling us to heal the woundedness. We've all been wounded. We've all been wounded around our femininity, our masculinity, power over instead of power with. And so now we're called to give that to God, to lift it, to shift it, to come into our divine masculine and divine feminine consciousness, to have them married within each of us so that we can do the creative work in the world that we need to do. Shakti Gawain, in her book, Living in the Light, I don't know if any of you have read this, it's an old book now. She writes, the union of feminine and masculine energies within the individual is the basis of all creation. Feminine intuition plus male action equals creation. creativity. And that is the work that we are in the midst of doing now. So, for our meditation, I invite you to, I don't think you can read that, I don't think that I can even read it. So, let us just turn within for a moment and know that within each of us is a wounded son and a wounded daughter of the divine. And let us take that woundedness, however it looks, into our hearts, to give it to God to do the healing, the transformative healing, so that that which does not work for us now not only works for us, aspects of the divine, but works for our relationships, works for our using our gifts, works for our communities and our families, and works for bringing the world into a higher consciousness. Let us just see that divine masculine, divine feminine, the intuition and the action coming together in ways that allow us to be all that we can be and who we have come here on earth to manifest. And so it is. And this is an image I found of how the divine masculine supports the divine feminine in this dance. So I invite you to go out today and dance. Dance with each other during lunch. Dance with your family and friends. Dance with the food you're eating. Dance with your car as you drive it. Just be in a state of joy and freedom. What do you feel when you dance? What emotions come up?
Joy.
Joy. What else?
Love actually comes up for me.
Love.
Feel zeal.
Zeal. Yeah. What else?
Happiness.
Happiness. For me, a freedom, a sense of being free comes up. So each of us probably has our own way of dancing, but I invite you to dance with joy, smiles, as you go through this day. And now, Julie, you have a gift for us today.
All right. One of my favorite old hymns, and I know it was my grandmother's favorite hymn. I just thought of this hymn for Mother's Day. This is In the Garden, so this is a nice little version of In the Garden. So you can dance in your garden.
Dancing in the garden. You probably dance in your garden,
Oh,
Julie.
sure I do. You better believe it. All right, here we go.
let us say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now, our peace song.